The Catholics of Oz is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to episode 31 of The Catholics of Oz. The Catholics of Oz is a show where we discuss faith, culture, and what's been happening from an Aussie perspective. Whether it's synods or science, apostolates and apps, providence or productivity, you can hear it right now on The Catholics of Oz. Hello, welcome to episode 31 of The Catholics of Oz. Happy Easter, where by time of recording we'll be 2 weeks into the Easter season, so greetings, he is risen. I had some colleagues at work who made fun of me because I've tried to say in Greek to Greek Orthodox people before and it comes out very, very poorly, so I was chastised by colleagues at work for doing that, so I will never do that again. I'll always say it in English. But a very happy Easter to everyone who is celebrating the Easter season at the moment. My name is Lindsay Sants. I'm one of the hosts of the show, and I'm joined by my older, lovelier, kinder sister, Caroline Knight.
Thank you, Lindsay. What an intro. Hello, how are you going?
I'm good. And returning to the show, Lino Sabol, it's so good to have you back. Thanks for hanging around again. How are you, Lino?
Thank you very much, Lindsay. How is everyone? And especially like to thank Dom for letting me come back. Thank you very much.
Yeah. He said Lino can come back with strict certain conditions. You're on probation. No, you're not really. I'm just no. So
hey, probation works for me, man. I'll see how we go. 3 months. Yeah. If I'm not doing well, I'm gone. I'm sorry, guys. I love you guys.
Give you marching orders. Yeah. And Jerry's feeling a little bit unwell this week, so just keep him in your prayers, and hopefully he'll be well enough and joining us on the mics again soon. So before we continue, just wanted to ask everyone to remember to like The Catholics of Oz on the SQPN Facebook page when episodes of ours get published. Also, please retweet our episodes on Twitter and also leave comments for us as well. We'd love to know what you think of our shows. And you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, or your favorite podcast app. SQPN puts all of its shows on YouTube as well, so you can go to search for SQPN on YouTube and hit the bell to get notifications when new episodes of The Catholics of Oz and other shows come out as well. Don't forget also to leave us feedback on your podcast directories like Apple Podcasts and others. This helps us to be discovered by more people and to grow our community of listeners. So let's get started with our first topic of Faith Beyond Borders.
Well, I'm actually feeling rather good about this. I think we've all arrived at a very special place, eh? Oh. Spiritually, ecumenically.
How do you make somebody love you without affecting free will?
Welcome to my world, son. You come up with an answer to that one, you let me know.
Yes, I had to work very hard to pass Latin and theology.
Oh, quite. Those are, of course, the most important things.
Oh, yeah.
I'd sit this one out, Cap.
I don't see how I can.
These guys come from legend. They're basically gods.
There's only one god, ma'am. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
So we thought for our Faith Beyond Borders today, we'd do a bit of a roundup of our Easter Mass attendance. We all attended Masses from home in different kinds of ways and under different circumstances, as I'm sure all of you who are listening did as well. So we just wanted to talk about how we celebrated the Easter Vigil and Easter morning, and just talk about some of the different things that we did and some of the things that maybe took us by surprise as well. So, Caroline, I might start with you. We'll just stick with Easter Vigil for now. We'll talk about Easter Sunday in a moment. How did you celebrate the Easter Vigil Mass? So which one did you attend virtually? And what did you do at home, and what was it like?
So, okay, obviously it was different this year because we were at home. And so I set up some candles. I actually was given some nice silver candlestick holders from my husband's auntie who passed away last year. So it was kind of nice to have that there to remember her while we had we were watching Mass. So I got some candles. I lit the candles. I had the crucifix behind it, and it's kind of like a little altar there in front of the TV. and we tuned into the Sydney Cathedral, the St. Mary's Cathedral, which was actually broadcast on Channel 7 and came live to us. And yeah, we dimmed the lights. It was nice and cozy, and I mean, we didn't lounge around, don't get me wrong, but it was
Glass
it was
of wine,
a really,
put your feet
yes,
up.
yes. Well, the vigil starts dark anyway in the church, so it was like we kept it dark, and actually I lit the candles when they lit the light of Christ in the church.
Yeah.
So when they lit the candle at the beginning of the Mass, and we did that together. And then we sat down and we attended Mass. I'm doing quotation marks in our lounge room, and it was so enjoyable. I just really enjoyed it. Even though we're not physically in the church, I really still felt part of the celebration and the ceremony, and the one good thing I think about watching on TV is that you kind of have a front row seat. Usually in the vigil, we always get there late. We're always outside. We can't actually be inside the church because there's not enough room. So we're always outside. It starts getting cold. We're cold. The kids are getting upset. So in a way, this is better because we could actually concentrate. And and if the kids do play up, no one sees me, telling to come on, be quiet, we're in Mass, be quiet. I really enjoyed that kind of aspect. And I feel even my son, Frankie's 8 years old, he was telling me how much he really enjoyed it as well. He really felt the specialness of the Vigil Mass and of the season and, the whole ceremony. And he really took part, and he was singing and we were praying together, and he just really loved it. So it was a very special and memorable evening, I think.
Yeah. And did you have anything set up in your house in any kind of particular way? Did you have like a little display or an altar or something for the Mass too?
Yeah, just the candles and the crucifix we had there. It's hard to keep anything really set up in my house because little 5-year-old Harry is a little tornado and he walks around destroying everything. And even while I had the candles lit there and the crucifix near the TV, he still went near there, and I had to kind of pull him away because he was going to burn down the house if I left him.
Every parent around Australia who tried to have candles on Visual Night can sympathise with you right now, including me.
Yes, exactly. So, we set the lounge room up, and we had the coffee table laid in a horizontal way so that we could kind of kneel behind it, and we set it up like church, and so that's we made it as church-like as possible,
Yeah. And was there anything about the service? Because Lino and I, we streamed the services from our local parish. Was there anything different about watching the service from St. Mary's Cathedral with Archbishop Anthony Fisher, or anything that's that they were able to do that your local parish couldn't do that you liked?
I have to say their choir was beautiful. They had obviously a professional choir, very well trained. They sang a lot of hymns in Latin, which was really beautiful. A lot of the main prayers they sung in Latin. And it just added to the beauty of the Mass. It really added something special. And I think it created that environment where you could really be solemn and pray. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it, completely enjoyed it. It's not something you go to watch and enjoy. I'm not saying it like that. I'm not watching a show, but it added to the prayer experience, so we could be more prayerful. And I really enjoyed Anthony Fisher, Bishop. His manner is so nice and kind and prayerful, and obviously he did look into the camera, so it looked like he was talking to us, and he made us really feel involved in the mass. I think that was a really key point, actually, because, you know, sometimes you may watch masses and some of them are not. I mean, I think actually a lot of them now are where the priest will look down into the camera and talk to you, because mass is a different way now. But yeah, I really felt like he was trying to involve the audience and really include people, you know, of all faiths. He was mentioning people that if you don't believe, if you do believe, if you're unsure, it doesn't matter. You know, Jesus is there for you. He loves you. He died for you. And he was really wanting to include everybody who was watching, everyone in the audience, to really feel like they were part of it, they were special, and this was for them, you know. And I really think he did a great job in that aspect. So
I don't know where he gets his TV training from, but it's like it was, I mean, I don't want to say it was a TV show, but it was like he knew what to do on a TV show, and he knew which camera to look at. He knew how to address the camera and look at it and draw the audience in. Because I watched we'll talk about it in a moment. I watched the Sunday Mass the next day. Yeah, it's really good. Lino, so you and I both attended from our own homes, you know, virtually.
Yes, we did.
The Easter Mass from our parish at Holy Family. I might start with you because you were actually home alone for this one, weren't you? Because Bernadette was actually at the church reading for the Easter Mass, so she had the privilege of doing that. Can you tell me about your experience of Mass at home on the Easter Vigil night?
Oh, actually, it was very quiet. Our street is usually quiet. You know, you usually have some cars going by, you know, nearly every 5 or 10 seconds. But because of this isolation, of course, it's so quiet. And what I did was, what we did, we have a prayer table. It looks like a what's called TV entertainment unit, like a little bake when you look at it. But we made it into a prayer table, and with that, I had the iPad, and we had the 3 candles, and it was funny when Caroline said about the candles being lit. I remembered that during the mass. Wait a minute, I knew the candles were lit. Oh, I meant to put them out, but I thought if I put them out, because I've switched all the lights off in the house to make it dark. And I thought, well, okay, I put the candles out. Oh, I can't see. That's great. I mean, near the mass, it was great.
Black.
But I just, we just got chairs behind us and got a few things where our prayer table is in the rumpus room. So I'm trying to balance, be careful with this here and there. And I thought, no, I'm sorry, I had to put the candles back on. I put the candles back on, and then watch the vigil mass. So it was actually, I really enjoyed it. And just what Caroline said about in the front row seat. Yes, you are. And and all you guys know, like every time in the mass, you have to be at mass like an hour before. If you don't, you will not get a seat. Yeah. And half the time you try to get there, and you're trying to find a seat, and then and it's just you're by yourself in a sense. And even though if you have a partner or anything, but it's whoever your family and God, and you don't have anyone else distractions happening. You know what I mean? And then so you can just sort of focus straight on your prayer and on the mass, and it was actually pretty good. I must admit, I am a bit of a fidgety person, so I can't sort of sit there for about an hour and go, oh, okay, I got to move, just in case. You know what I mean? I need to get up, or my back is sore, or my behind is sore, so I need to get up and just exercise. But this one here, it was focused, and it was awesome. Actually, I didn't mind it. And the mass itself was beautiful as well. Yeah, and the singing and everything, and seeing my wife there on the camera, just saying the readings and everything was very good. It was very good. And Father Michael, I think he's done this before, hasn't he? He's got his own Divine Australia thing, and he does the retreats, so he knows where to do his talks and where to look and everything. But and I like you guys know, he still misses us. He still misses. It's funny. I think he wants to do a joke but no one's laughing. It's very silent, and we're of course we're laughing because we're
watching
laughing.
That's right.
But
He's
a joke and going, "Are they laughing?" Okay, I'll just keep on going. I seem to notice that sometimes when he does the homilies, afterwards and everything. So that's pretty funny. But it was very nice actually. But like you guys say, when this isolation is finished and we go back to coming to the mass, it will feel so relieved to do that again. And this is another side of praying and showing yourself to God in a sense, and it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I say about Bernadette, your wife, as well? Man, she's really good at addressing the camera when she's reading. I was jealous because I was there, not jealous, but I was there on Good Friday, and Father Michael had asked me to do the narrative gospel and the second reading on Good Friday, so I did that, and I was trying. I practiced at home. I was reading. I don't know how many times I practiced, but I practiced heaps. And I practiced reading and where I was going to look up at the camera to emphasize certain things and whatever. And I probably achieved 50% of what I wanted to do.
You did a very good job, Liz.
Yeah.
Come on,
man. You did well,
man.
Yeah. I'm only saying that because of, because I was feeling pretty nervous. And like by comparison, I don't know if Bernie was nervous, but the thing is, I feel like she had a tougher job than me in some ways because she had to do 3 or 4 readings. And she had the prayers of the faithful as well. So she had a really busy night. Whereas with me, after the first, 25 minutes of the service, I was done. Yeah. My job was done. I could just sit there and enjoy and be part of Mass and receive Eucharist. Whereas Bernie had a lot going on, and she had to address the camera, and she did it. It's like she's like the Archbishop. She's got this mannerism that's good for cameras. You know what I mean? It's like she's been on TV before or something. She hasn't. I don't think she.
I would have been able to do it, guys. I would go to the camera and then going, I'm gonna start sweating.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it wasn't being watched by a couple of hundred people. It was being watched by thousands because our parish priest has a bit of an international following. He's not like I don't want to say he's a famous preacher, but he's a well-known preacher in his Divine Australia ministry as well.
That's correct.
And he's been he'd mentioned I think Singapore and a few other countries where people were watching from. So. Yeah. She did really well knowing that audience. Yeah.
I was joking. I'm going to Bernie. Oh, you're gonna go worldwide. She goes, "Shut up." You go worldwide. Shut up.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
When she's about to leave, I go, "Babe." She goes, "Shut up."
She's in the zone. Stay out of the way. Yeah. Yeah. I watched and we participated in the same mass as you, Lino. So we and I stole this from Don Bettinelli in Raising the Bets. He and his family were talking in one of their episodes about how they were going to prepare, and one of the things they decided to do was get them and their families baptism candles out and use those for the Easter candle.
Awesome!
And I thought that's such a great connection because the Paschal candle is the candle that is there for every sacrament that we receive. It's lit at our baptism. And it'll be there at our burial as well. At our funeral. Yeah. Don't want to think about that too much, but
yes. But
the thing is, it's even though there's a new candle every year, as a symbol, the light of Christ, the presence of of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus amongst us. That candle is always there. So I thought, what a great connection to have our baptism candles. I had to get my confirmation candle out because I couldn't find my baptism candle in time, but close enough. Still a sacrament.
I think mine's long gone. My goodness.
Yeah.
It's probably back in Malta, actually.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, Caroline, I think mine's probably back in the Philippines somewhere.
Someone else probably has it. Yeah. So we turned off all the lights in the house as well. Now, the lounge room where we watched was still pretty well lit up because we watched it on our big TV, and it was just beaming light into our faces in the dark. So we could see pretty well. Like it wasn't dark like you were mentioning for us. When it came to light the candles, we lit the candles, and then I got really excited, and I can't say the wake word because I don't want to turn on everyone's echoes, but I'll just change it to something else. I said, Amazon Echo, turn on all the lights, and it was like all the white lights around the house. It's like light beaming it everywhere, and
the
so it was
Hallelujah
great.
came on.
Yeah, that's right. I should have had it sing Hallelujah or something. Now, as a side note, I have programmed it. Sorry, this is so immature. I've programmed it to when I say. Oh, yeah, sorry, I switched it off in here. When I say a person red alert, all the lights in the house will go red, and it will start playing and it will start going woo, woo, like that.
That would be that's so annoying. If I had to live with you, Lindsay. Oh my
so
God,
much
that
fun.
would be so
and
annoying.
I programmed it so that when I say it, what is it? She says, "Red alert! All hands to battle station." And, and then I've got it programmed so that I can say, "Hey, Echo, stand down from red alert," and she goes, "Stand down from red alert. All hands resume normal operations," and the lights just go back to normal color. And the kids love it. They think it's hilarious. So Damien and Alexander get excited. So it's good.
Yes, but what does Isabel think?
Isabel just groans. What can I say?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I'm sure she loves it on the inside. Yeah, but
Probably.
the point I'm trying to make though is that we flooded the house with light. To symbolize, Christ has risen from the dead, conquered the darkness of death, showed us the way forward through the resurrection, all those kinds of things. And so in a way, it's nice when you can set up your own symbols. Alexander, our 2-year-old, struggled to engage with the meaning because he saw the candles and thought they were birthday candles, and he kept trying to blow them out.
Trying to blow them out. Oh, so cute.
He walks up and he goes, and then he goes, "Hooray!"
Hooray!
So that was
well,
his
it
thing.
is a celebration, so it's okay.
Yeah, so it's quite funny.
Well, different kind of celebration, yes, but
but we did all hold our candles. We got Alexander to hold his carefully as well, and we passed the light of Christ around to each other, so which was good. And then I just realized, there's going to be a blessing of holy water. He's going to bless,
Yes, yeah.
And I said to Isabel, Isabel, quick, have we got any holy water in the house? And she's going, And I ran to the kitchen and I got a little bowl of water just in case. And she goes, "No, wait, we do." And she went into our bookcase, and we've got one of those, Lourdes bottles of holy water, that everyone has.
Lourdes bottles.
Great.
What is with that, man? Everyone's got from Lourdes.
Everyone's got one of those.
Everyone has one.
Yeah.
Because
There's
everyone
heaps in
knows
Lourdes,
someone.
that's why.
That's true.
Everyone knows someone who's been to Lourdes and brings one back.
Yeah,
as a gift
exactly.
to everyone.
And they got a bottle of holy water with them.
Yeah. If you go to Lourdes, there is all sizes, everything in Mary, everything. Like they just really milk it, so you can get whatever you want from there. Yeah. No wonder everyone has a bottle of Lourdes
holy water. Exactly. Yeah. So we just traced it across on each other's foreheads using holy water, which was good. So yeah, I'm big on symbolism where we can do it, and because we're at home, so we did that. For every mass, I've had the Bible out on the reading of the day. I put out all the symbols, so I put out the palm leaf that Father Michael sent us in the mail too, on the Bible. So I just had all the symbols that carried journey. Yeah. It was so good of him to do that. Like for those who are listening, he mailed us a small palm leaf, an envelope-sized one, with a letter, just telling us he misses us and wants to see us all again. So he did that for all the parishioners, not just for me, for all the parishioners. So so it was a beautiful thing. So that was that evening's mass. And then the next day, so Caroline, you and I both watched the Sunday morning mass with Bishop Anthony Fisher from St. Mary's, which I think was at 10:30 in the morning.
10:30.
Yeah. So do you want to quickly say a couple of things about it, and then I'll jump in with a few notes I've taken as well?
Yeah, sure. Well, so because we were going to have Easter lunch, I had to quickly make Easter lunch before and put it in the oven. And then Mass just started, so that was good. I'd made something to bake and I'd put it in the oven. Yeah. Anyway, so so I did the same thing actually. I put out our candles and I put the crucifix, so we had the little set up there. And me and Frankie watched this one together, and the choir was even better on the Sunday.
They were stunning, yes, yeah.
Even better because this time they had a couple of female voices as well, which added a different accent to the music, and so they had more variation in the. I'm not a music professional, so I'm not sure how to explain it, but so it added a bit more to the choir. I think I'm just going to go on about the choir the whole time because I think I can't tell you how much it really added to the Mass and how much it just made things much more prayerful and just set the tone and set the environment. And I just really loved it. His reading was very similar. The homily was very similar to the one he did in the vigil, and But this time he had some special guests there.
Yes, yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah.
So, there was a mother and father, wasn't there, of some children who unfortunately were killed a bit earlier in the year.
Yeah, it was in February. The parents were
right.
Layla and Danny Abdullah were their names.
That's right. Yeah. And he invited them specially to come along. And the mother, sorry, what was her name? Layla. She read one of the readings, and he invited them. It was such a nice gesture for him to have them there on Easter, so that they could, remember their 4 children. And I mean, there were 4 children; they were all cousins, so they were not just their children. Yeah, it's such a sad situation. But yeah, so, and they seemed really comforted by that. And so that was a very special addition to the Easter Mass.
Yeah, can I just add some notes about that?
Yeah, go for it, Lindsay, of course. Yeah, go for it.
So because in his homily, like the way that he presented it, he said, recently there was a young boy and his father who stood right over there, and he pointed to a spot. He said, to the statue of Saint Anthony over there. And he said, and the young boy, his name was Anthony, and his father had brought him in to pray to the saint of his namesake. And he said, unfortunately, this was also the last day of Anthony's life. And he mentioned how Anthony and his sisters Angelina and Sienna and their cousin Veronique were killed by an alleged drunk driver on that same day. So like you said, he'd invited the families to come to Mass, and he wanted to highlight especially, and I think this is what really this hit me like a ton of bricks. So once this happened, because I just wanted to watch the Mass, I was participating a bit, lightly. This drew me right in, and I was in for the rest of it.
I had that same thing. Yeah, go.
Yeah. He mentioned how the parents forgave, publicly. They haven't met the driver, but they publicly forgave. The mother said, "I can't hate him. We're Christian. We forgive." And so they had mentioned, at the funeral and to the press when they were interviewed, that they, offered their forgiveness. They said now the law has to do what it has to do. There's still justice, but they said as far as they're concerned, they forgive him for what happened. And the Archbishop said that the parents, they professed their Christian faith. They called everyone to prayer at this time, and he said this was no ordinary human response. It was a superhuman one. It was a supernatural one. It was an Easter one, and these were really powerful words. And he said these are extraordinary people who, by God's grace, could do extraordinary things even in the most terrible of circumstances. And so his point in the homily was, do we need to be saved? People would ask the question now, with everything we have, do we need to be saved? And he was saying, if we, for a moment, forget about earthly things and dwell on the bigger things like peace, love, the bigger things that matter, said that then yes, we do need to be saved. And this is how we're saved, through forgiveness. Christ showed the way, and these people were being Christ. They're ordinary people. They're not special in terms of being famous or well-known or whatever. They were ordinary people who did something absolutely extraordinary. And I think that it was amazing. And he summed it up by saying, Good Friday tells us why we are saved. Good Friday tells us why we need saving. Easter Sunday tells us what? Did I get that right? Yes, I'll get that. So I'll try again. Good Friday tells us why we need to be saved. Easter Sunday tells us how we're saved. Sorry, how we're saved. Right there. Yeah. I thought that whole gesture was beautiful, and we've got a couple of links to some articles about that story in our show notes if anyone would like to read those. Caroline, did you want to say anything else about his homily or the Mass?
Yeah, I mean, once again, he included everyone, and I loved how, I just want to read this little bit out that I really like that he said. He said, some will say, well, that's a nice story, but no thanks. I don't really believe in God. I get that. The resurrection can seem too good to be true. Like the Apostle Thomas, we might say that until I've got my paws on the risen Jesus himself, I'm not going to believe such hysteria and wishful thinking. Fair enough, faith is a gift, freely accepted or not. But even if you don't believe in Jesus or unsure, he believes in you. He died and rose to save you. And, Shalom, hi, he says today to the women at the empty tomb. Peace, he says to you. No need to be afraid anymore. I am with you always. And I just really like that part because he said it on the vigil and then he repeated it on the Sunday morning. And once again, I feel like he summed up the whole Easter message as well in that, just in that paragraph, you know, especially for those who don't believe, because I think since it was on, one of the major TV channels that we have here, and, you know, normally we would not, just to let you know, like in Australia, we would never have a mass broadcast on a major TV channel. Usually at this time of year, it's usually the AFL, the football that's broadcast. So instead, miraculously, I mean, to me, this is a miracle that we even had these liturgies on TV. So for him to be putting out a message like that, there's a good chance that people would have just been tuning in. They would have been, you know, flipping through, you know, how people do. And so if they got to hear that message, it would have been so special, especially at this time where everybody is in isolation because we can't go out. We can't be together at Easter. It's a very different way to spend Easter. Normally, you know, the tradition here in Australia is to get your car and drive somewhere and go for a camp or, or grab a plane and go interstate and have a holiday for the Easter break. But I feel like even though we couldn't go out for a holiday, we stayed home and had like a bit of a retreat. And anyone who was watching this has really had a spiritual, can I say, holiday? I mean, like not a break from being spiritual. I mean, it's more spiritual.
More spiritual.
So like
true.
it gave us the opportunity to really think about Easter and not just go the motions. Quick, get dressed, get in the car. We're going to be late. Get in there. Don't play up during Mass. Where's your candle? Don't spill the wax on yourself. You know, like it can be a bit hectic. So we could actually put all of that aside, all of those physical human things, and really look inside ourselves and invite Jesus inside ourselves and really participate with him during this Easter, and very well led by our priests and archbishops, and we could really pay attention to it because we had no other distractions. And I that is really what I took from this. I think I'm enjoying it more because as a mother, every single Mass that I go to, I don't have the chance to fully immerse myself in it because I am childminding at the same time. So for me, being able to have like usually we don't go to the Thursday night one because my kids are not going to sit through that. Yeah. We do go to Good Friday. That's okay. But the vigil is always a disaster and I have to go back on Sunday morning because, you know, we just to have a normal Mass. So for me, I was really able to get a lot more out of it than I normally would get. Yeah. So, I have to say that those were my highlights from apart from just a beautiful Mass and all the singing and all the rest of it. I really had spiritual nourishment this Easter. I really feel it, you know. So I feel like, you know, that hopefully a lot of other people, just because it was broadcast on TV this time, you know, they, you know, flicking through, hopefully some other people got that out of it as well.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Yeah, Lino, you've had a chance to view the homily. Are there any other thoughts that you had about it?
Well, I think Caroline just pointed out a lot of majority of what I heard from the homily as well.
You stole his thunder, Caroline.
Sorry.
I was just saying she stole your thunder.
I apologize.
You're the best, Caroline. You take that one. You take that one. I can't take it back.
I'm sure you've got other things you could add. There's a bit left there on the side. Go for it.
You got the leftovers.
No.
Yeah.
What we were talking about is how a mask can be shown on a commercial TV station.
Yeah.
I think we were talking sort of refreshing before we did this podcast. We were just talking about it, and I was saying they wouldn't be doing that. It is a sad reality. How can I say it? It is the secular world who are really dominating what's going on in the media and everything like that, and they wouldn't be showing that mass on Channel 7. It doesn't matter how many stations they have. What is it? 7 Mate, 7 Prime, wherever they want to do it. They will never show that. I can guarantee you. And next year, when in God's blessing, this coronavirus is gone, it will just go back to the normal routine of showing what they want and how they want to show it. And,
I wonder about that now. Because you are most likely correct in saying that, but I just wonder if and I'm going by the ratings now. So we talked about the ratings briefly. Maybe I'll just use what you've said as a way to get into this, right? So the Catholic Weekly reported on the ratings, which for commercial television is the most important thing. Winning ratings in time slots. Channel 7 won the ratings time slots for Good Friday. They had an audience of 545,000 viewers, plus 86,000 more streaming online. So their viewership was 42.4% of the available audience, which is, for Australia, I mean, these don't sound like big numbers to others around the world. For Australia, this is huge, right?
But that's pretty.
They've done really well.
That is pretty good. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, on Easter Sunday, the 10:30 Mass that we watched reached 568,000 broadcast viewers and a further 113,000 live streamers. So a total of 681, 46% or 46.3% of the audience share. So we're talking about some pretty smashing ratings. So over 1 million people over the Easter weekend watched those Easter liturgies. So it actually did really well in terms of network television. So what do you think, Lino? I mean, what are the chances? Do you think that's it and they're not going to do it again? Or if they know they've got a ratings winner, what do you think?
Yeah. I think that they can do it again. I'm not saying they won't. I take my words back. They will. I believe they will do this again.
Well, we can hope. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it only sad reality is with that is like, oh, it's all about footy. And what personally that upset me because it was like, okay, you're taking some of the flame from Anzac, now you're doing it from Good Friday.
Yes,
it's not all about that, and then
and I think Good Friday football matches were a recent thing. They only came
exactly
a couple of years ago.
Couple of years ago, and I'm sorry for those people who are Essendon supporters. Essendon was part of that game. Really? Yeah. Anyway, that's my personal thing. Sorry, Tom. Look, it's I think they should do it next year again. Look, try both. Sadly, they'll have to show the football. That's their contract and the business side of it, blah blah blah, and everything. But I think they should show the Sunday Mass. I mean, Good Friday Mass and all the masses during the Easter week. If Channel 7 want to do that.
Yeah, just as a footnote to this conversation, so in the Archdiocese of Melbourne, we should mention our Archdiocese here too. So the Archdiocese of Melbourne, they had a deal with Channel 31. So Channel 31 is not a commercial station; it's a community TV station, and they had a deal to put their Easter liturgies on as well. So that happens. We after the 10:30 Mass on Sunday morning from St. Mary's Cathedral, I switched over to St. Pat's Cathedral and watched the last half hour. and had a listen. Yeah,
yeah, we
so-
did the same.
Channel surfing.
yeah,
Had it in the
That's
background.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one good thing that did come out of it was a tweet that I just saw before the show and shared with you guys, is that Channel 31 tweeted that they're going to continue showing Sunday liturgies on Channel 31 on Sunday. So that's a win.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, that's
That's a
great.
space where there wasn't mass being shown on TV, where there is mass being shown. And maybe I'm not going too far in saying that masses on Channel 31 are probably the biggest ratings hit they're going to see from anything that they do, because they're
Could well be, yeah.
let's be honest, their programming's not awesome.
They're not, like you said, Liz, they're not commercial, are they?
Yeah, look,
That's
they're
the
no Game
sad
of Thrones. Let's
reality,
put
but-
no.
It just
Okay,
got a little
that
bit
exactly,
better.
that
There you
exactly.
go.
Mention that in this show,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, that's all right.
Mention the book.
Yeah.
The book is great, man. The TV series. Yeah, so,
Actually, I'm actually legitimately going to mention Game of Thrones in our next segment, but I'll talk about that later on.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, so why don't we move on to our next segment? And today we wanted to continue by talking about entertainment.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
This is not what we came here to do.
No, but it's what I'm going to do.
I have a plan. You've got a plan. I have part of a plan. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
So for this segment, I'll give you some background to this. Over the school holidays, I've still had to look at students' work. You know, as a teacher, I've been preparing for remote learning, which started this week. So most of my school holidays were actually preparing for teaching online because there was a lot of background work that needs to be done. One of my students from my Year 12 Religion and Society class, she sent me this very excited email. I was like, Mr. Sant, have you seen this TV series called The Chosen? It's about the life of Jesus. And I was thinking, I wrote back, said, oh, I haven't seen it, but I'll check it out. And I was thinking, oh, here we go, another Jesus show. There's so many Jesus shows now. Yeah, no, it's true though. It's true. I'm sorry to say, but there are so many, and like the thing is, like it takes a lot of effort to tell this story in a way that stands out from everyone else, because
that is true. That is true.
Over the
Yeah,
years,
true.
I mean, you've had classic Jesus, where Jesus always talks with a British accent, blessed are the poor in spirit, things like that. Those are the older movies, Then you had...
Is that your best accent, Lindsay? Really?
I don't have a best accent, to be honest, except my own. But then you had,
you'll be right.
commercial TV Jesus. So we had there was the Bible TV show that came out, which kind of told some of the Old Testament stories, and then it went to the life of Jesus, and that was more of a commercial TV kind of effort. And now this series for me, I would call this the Netflix Jesus. All right. So yeah. And the reason why I say that is because this series, and even the director as well, and I'll call out that in a moment. This series was made to binge. Okay. It's made in that binge kind of format. And if anyone wants to criticize me for saying that, the director himself in the YouTube videos that he's done wears a top that says binge Jesus. So I will not be accepting any critical emails from anyone on that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right, man.
So,
yeah.
At the end of the movie, I mean the first episode he did, yeah.
Yeah,
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so now I had a chance to watch it earlier than you guys. I wanted to see what it was like. I didn't want to ask you guys to watch something and it ends up being a bit of a flop. I couldn't be any more wrong. Isabel and I ended up binging over a couple of nights watching all 8 episodes.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
and we loved it. It was really good, and I'll talk about some details about it later. And I asked you guys it was last night, so sorry about that. So you guys have only seen the first episode.
I only got a chance to see one, yes. You could have told us earlier. Bit of a sibling reproach there.
So he's doing it outside of the Hollywood system, and it's basically crowdfunded. So it's been described as one of the largest crowdfunded TV series. So I think that another one, there was a TV series called Mystery Science Theater 3000, I think it was. And that was actually on Netflix, but it did get crowdfunded to the tune of $5.something million. This series, after a sample was produced, raised $10 million for the first season. So this is going to be an 8-season series about the life of Jesus. And he's already mapped out what it's going to be like. He's already said, that Jesus will die in the 7th season. There'll be an after Jesus, 8th season.
Oh, he
and things
gave
like
the
that.
ending away.
Well, he, you know, I mean,
man.
look, I mean, let's be honest. If you don't know how the story ends,
it's like the time in The Simpsons. What is it? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the Star Wars one. Yeah. Who would have thought that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father? I was like, oh, come on, man.
Oh, really?
It was great. It was great.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's been successful in its first season. The first season is free on YouTube, and there's also an app as well. We've got all of that in the show notes. So I just wanted to get your impression, guys, just having watched the first episode. And the director had the same thoughts that you guys were talking about as well. So, Lino, first episode, just some of your first impressions.
First impressions was like you said to tell me about this TV show. I think one of our friends, Priscilla, was talking about it, or maybe you're talking about another show, another one show Netflix. And I didn't look at it properly, but then when he showed me this, I go, wait a minute, is this the same one? Okay, I'll have a go at it and have a watch. I didn't mind it. My wife Bernie found it a bit slow at the start, and I know myself. I'm a slow person to learn and to catch on, so I needed to know who this person was and everything. It took me to put the audio and the subtitles on sometimes to figure out who this person was and everyone.
Yeah,
and I found
there's
it
lots
great.
of characters. Yeah,
I like we were talking about it before we started this podcast. I found it like I don't want to mention. Can I mention the TV show on this, Linz?
Yeah.
Oh, Gotham.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sure you can.
Yeah, it was like Gotham because everyone knows Gotham is about Batman and everything, but Gotham was about more the other characters. And it was like this. We were talking. They were introducing all these characters who followed Jesus, and this is the other side of it. And I didn't mind that. And then, of course, I'm not going to spoil it for everyone when it later happened. I like that. It was just sort of the backstory of who this disciples were and what they did. The question is, when they at the start of the episode, it told us about the biblical side of it. Are some of the stories about the disciples true, Lindsay? Because I know there were fishermen. Yep. I know one was a tax collector. I couldn't.
Matthew the tax collector is there. Yeah, Matthew was a tax collector. Yeah. Peter is classically known as a fisherman.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now Luke, who's not in this. No, Luke, not Luke. What am I talking about?
Not in the first one.
Yeah, but Luke, who wrote Luke's gospel, was supposed to be a physician. But this.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the backgrounds that they give the apostles, the followers, are not necessarily historically true. I'll give away one plot point, right? So, for example, Simon Peter he starts off as a dishonest guy who's getting into debts. He loses himself. He's in trouble with the Romans, and he's actually one of the Roman leaders. I think Quirinius is the character's name. He's actually snitching on Jews who are fishing in the Sea of Galilee illegally, things like that. So there's this whole
Sabbath,
plot.
Is it?
On the Sabbath, and there's this whole plot that is not, I'm pretty sure it's not historically there's no historical record or anything. So what they're doing is they're taking poetic license, but they're not doing anything that deviates, as far as I'm concerned, from the gospel. No. They're just saying, here is a plot, a storyline that kind of happens around the gospel events as well. And I think
it's true.
I think that's not a bad idea. Even other, Jesus shows, have had to add plot in order to fill in details, give us some details to think about too. And this whole first episode is, background of most of the apostles, and Mary Magdalene's background as well, which I thought was interesting too.
That was interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Caroline, first episode. I think you're more in Bernadette's boat here, talking boat. Sorry, bad pun. But you were talking about the sort of the slowness as well. But what did you think overall?
So okay, my honest first impression was that it was quite slow moving, but and maybe the acting was a little romantic and dramatic, like that, because I'm pretty sure
definitely
in the Middle East,
definitely a TV drama.
In the
kind of
Middle
acting,
East, they're a bit more fast paced and snappy. in the way they interact with each other. Putting that
I haven't had my
aside,
coffee.
However, putting that aside, I do like the character development. You could easily recognize the characters in the story from the Bible. So, Matthew, the tax collector, easy. I like how they, they put him in the back of a horse. Was it a horse or a donkey-driven cart? I couldn't remember.
Yes, covered him up in a cart. Yes, yeah.
Exactly.
That's right. So to get from one place to another because everybody hated him, and
exactly.
and when he had to walk, was walking around, people would come and spit on his feet, and he was he was portrayed pretty well as a hated person, as tax collectors were quite looked down upon in those days because they wanted to take all your money. So the other, Simon, his brother, Mary Magdala, I figured that was her straight away. So I could get those straight away. I love the character development. Probably my favorite was Nicodemus.
He's a great actor. I
think he did a great job the way he was acting. I love his costume, as one of the rabbis there, one of the leaders, the teachers. I love how, they would show him teaching his students. And you can imagine, I had it in my mind, this might have been how Jesus used to teach people. They used to sit down and he used to have people around him and he used to be their rabbi and teach them the gospel, well, not the gospel, but the word of God at that time, and how he was a respected member. And then how he was starting to question, hang on a minute, is this all there is to our faith? I feel like there's more. Like there's more. And there was a scene where he was telling this in private to his wife, and his wife said, shh, don't be saying things like that. That is blasphemous. You can't be saying that there must be more to our religion. You are a teacher and you must go out and put on a show like you're a teacher. And he said, but I don't want to put on a show. He wanted to be true to himself. So he was already feeling like there was something missing, and he was expecting the Messiah, and well, we know how the story goes, but
exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, apart from, look, I'm sure I've only seen one episode, and the last few minutes, actually, you were saying the director wanted you to binge it. I actually felt like going on to the next episode after when I saw the last couple of minutes. Unfortunately, that was just before we were recording that I finished, so I couldn't binge. But I definitely am going to go and watch the next episode and probably continue on and finish it all.
That whole episode is about the last couple of minutes, isn't it? Really, we won't say what happens.
It really
but
is. It really is.
Yeah,
exactly. It actually is. So it did end up rounding out really well at the end of the episode. So I mean, if you can get through the slowness, if that doesn't bother you, that's fine. But if a slow paced kind of series bothers you, then don't worry, just stick with it because it is worth it. Yeah,
and it picks up from that point. It picks up. It takes off. It's it's really interesting what they do. There's so when I first tried to watch it, I didn't realize that what I was watching was because they had a worldwide live event where the director would come on and talk for 10 minutes and show the episode. So I was watching the recordings of those. And so I was watching a bit about what the director was saying, and then he kind of spoiled what happened at the end of the episode. I stopped watching his commentary before the episodes, and I'd listen to a bit afterwards and the interviews that he does, but I stopped watching his commentary before because he loves the work that he's doing so much that he just wants to tell people about it. And he's like, hey, so it's going to be a bit slow, but you want to get to this point where this happens. I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Don't do that.
I know it's a Jesus series and we generally know how it ends, but not that, Yeah. A couple of quick, a few fun facts very quickly. So this is an ecumenically produced series. So it's not being produced by one particular church. The director himself is I think he said he's a non-denominational evangelical, which is a lot to say at once. But he's working with other, with people who are from different Christian churches. He's got different sort of theologians, including a Catholic one, as part of his team that are helping with the script writing and script reading. And the actor whose name I can't remember now, who plays Jesus, is a practicing Catholic. He is so practicing Catholic. I'm so impressed with this guy that he, on his Facebook page, he's been leading the Divine Mercy every day live. So people will come on, he'll talk, and then he'll lead the Divine Mercy. I need to look that up. Yeah, must look him up. And when while this episode is going, I will try and pull out my phone and see if I can find out what his name is. Yeah, because it's really worth. Of course, because I want to find it now, I can't. Yeah. But I'll try and find it, or I'll at least put it in the show notes anyway. Because what he's doing is amazing too. So so you can get the app and watch it through the app, or you can watch it for free on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure the plan is for it to be free. I think people who put money in to support the funding of the episodes get the first go, and I think after that it's free not long after. It actually came out before Christmas, I think, from memory. So it's been around for that long. I hadn't heard of it until recently.
No, I hadn't heard of it.
No.
Yeah.
What's it called? Is it called Paying Forward? I saw something.
Pay It Forward
like
is their
that.
campaign. Yeah, that's right. Their campaign is called Pay It Forward. Yeah. I'm still trying to find his name. I haven't got it yet. Anyway, but let's move on. Oh wow, Caroline, we've got 4 minutes to go, so we're gonna have an interesting segment next.
Don't worry, it's not a very long one.
Yeah, it's all right. We might go a bit over today, but let's round out the episode by talking about some science.
What a fine day for science.
You have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Can you reverse the polarity?
I'll do my best.
Science, 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 science. Science, 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 science. Yeah, I like science.
So, Caroline, if the coronavirus, COVID-19, could be translated into music, well, it has some very interesting applications. I got very excited when I found this and passed it to you straight away. So can you tell us why it's possible, or why it could be important, to translate the coronavirus into music, and what applications that might have?
Yeah, this is pretty good. So we still are in this coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. So researchers are trying very hard to come up with vaccines and drugs to combat it, so we can get out of the pandemic as soon as possible, because it really is affecting everybody in so many ways. Illness, dying, no work, our social lives are completely ruined. Everybody knows, because we're all experiencing it. So So we've had some scientists here thinking outside the box, and they have looked at the structure of the coronavirus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus to be specific, as music. So there are scientists from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, have translated the actual spike on the spike protein on the virus. You know how it's like, it looks like a spiky ball. So those spikes on the surface of the virus into music. We know that these spikes help the virus particles bind to the target cell, the lung cells in your body, and then take it over to use the host cell machinery to create more virus particles, therefore creating the illness. So the proteins themselves are made up of amino acids. So there's lots of different amino acids, and they're all combined in different ways to make different proteins. And they've come up with a process called sonification, and this is a technique used to assign each of those amino acids into a unique musical note. So there's a piece of music has been created. So we have the sound of the protein, if you like, and the volume, the duration, and the rhythm of this music is actually derived by how the amino acids are arranged in the protein. there can be spirals and sheets, and then the proteins are folded back on themselves, and this kind of determines the actual function of the protein, the way that it's folded over. We won't go into any more detail, but that's how it works. So now we have a piece of music created from the virus, the spike protein, and it sounds a bit like this. And so, isn't it pretty? It's actually a really nice sound.
Yeah. It's a nice tune.
It's
the only thing I can think about the coronavirus that's actually quite nice is the music it produces.
I know. So out of something quite horrific, we've actually managed to make something quite pretty out of it. So why?
I thought it was going to be heavy metal or something, not that.
It's going to be techno,
That's
man.
a
I thought
good
we were
point.
dancing with it.
But it's actually quite tranquil and relaxing. But anyway.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
tranquil
it is,
virus.
it is.
Oh, I love a tranquil virus. I'll have
A tranquil virus. There we go.
Tranquil virus.
Not so tranquil.
Billboard
but anyway.
100.
Devil in disguise, that's for sure. Okay, so
Yeah. I love that one. That's a good one.
So why would we want to translate this viral spike protein into music? So the technique will be used to find sites where antibodies or other drugs can actually bind to these proteins and inactivate the virus, so to stop the process, to stop the infection in the body. So usually they will use molecular modeling to kind of visualize the protein and have a look, how they can kind of create other proteins to get in there and stop the virus from replicating and infecting. But they're thinking that this process of sonification is actually faster and more intuitive. They think that perhaps it'll be able to actually reveal a bit more details through the music of the structure of the protein. So the idea is to be able to create drugs and to, drugs and antibodies and other things that can bind to the protein. And also the way they would do it is by comparing these proteins to other sonified proteins that they actually have in a database, so they can match it up and kind of find a good fit protein that will inactivate it. So currently they're working on traditional vaccines at the moment, so that we try and you get vaccinated, you build up the resistance in your body, and if you happen to get this virus, your body will be able to fight it off, just like the flu and other viruses around. But this hopefully is a faster way and maybe a more specific way. And, they are trialing drugs, like we've heard of some malaria drugs and this drug and that drug. But hopefully they'll be able to design something very specific for this. So something very interesting. When you sent that to me, Lindsay, I thought, oh wow, that's wonderful. Go science. So go science and music in this case. So isn't that amazing? Even something that can be so destructive, it's nature, and nature can also be beautiful when we look at it in another way. So these proteins didn't do anything. It's not their fault. It's, they're just proteins. They don't know what they're doing.
Don't blame the pro.
But we're actually able to find, if you read nature in another way, look what comes out of it. But, I'm not on the side of the virus, obviously. I just hope that we can get rid of it very soon. And there's so much work being done on trying to, eradicate it from the earth, because so many people are sick. So the sooner we can do that, the better. And let's just hope they do actually find something really soon that we can use.
So what's going to happen, guys? Are we going to have two vaccines we're going to take? Do we take a flu and not a coronavirus vaccine?
Well, the reason they want you to take the flu shot is because if you are you'll be immune, you'll be protected against the flu. If you happen to get flu and the coronavirus at the same time, it's very bad news, because you'll be really sick from the flu and your immune system's already very down. So
exactly.
If you get COVID-19 on top, it's not good news. So the more protection you can have using vaccines, the better it is. So
Gotcha.
And as a side note, this morning I was hearing on the news that in Australia the number of flu cases is down compared to this time of year. Basically, I guess because we are all isolating and washing our hands, and there's not much travel going on. So that's another interesting fact that I heard this morning.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good news. Yeah. All right. So thanks for that. Let's round out the show then. Just a couple of quick things to mention. Just some follow-ups. So on the last episode of Let's Talk Live, I talked about Father Rob Gallia, just mentioned his ministry, and would totally, again, recommend that people check out all the work that he's doing on YouTube. Recently, he started recording acoustic covers of songs, and he's calling it the Isolation Sessions, which is great. So it's really beautiful. It's just him doing some acoustic recording, and it's very spiritually uplifting. So I recommend that. Now, the name of the actor who plays Jesus in The Chosen is called Jonathan Roumie, Roumie, Jonathan Roumie. So if you want to check out his Facebook page, it's right there. Cool. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening to episode 31 of The Catholics of Oz. Before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible to create The Catholics of Oz on StarQuest. Today, we'd like to thank Michael, Jonathan, Bob, Joe, and we have the pleasure of thanking Father Andrew Kinstetter as well, which is great. It's great to mention him. Cool. He's a guest on the Secrets of Technology and host of the Secrets of Star Wars podcast on this network. So it's great that we get to have a turn at mentioning him and thanking him as well. So thank you very much to all the patrons. It's a challenging time for quite a few people financially. So if you've been able to hang in there, we really do appreciate it. And if you haven't, it's completely understandable as well, because we've got to tighten our belts a little bit, look after our families a little bit more. So the most important thing is that everyone in this community is well and able to continue. So through all the generous donations that we've received at sqpn.com/give, it makes it possible for the Catholics of Oz and all the shows at StarQuest to continue. So if you're able to join them, you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. Also, we'd like to know your thoughts about the things that we've discussed. Did you get to see a televised mass in your area? Surprisingly, did that happen? What did you do at Easter Vigil? And have you ever translated a virus into music? Have you been watching The Chosen? We would love to hear what people think about it and talk about that some more down the track. So you can send feedback to sqpn.com/Oz, where our show notes are, or this show is posted on SQPN's Facebook page at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, and also on Twitter, and you can certainly leave comments there. Also, don't forget that we have a Facebook page for the Catholics of Oz, so you can find us at facebook.com/Catholics of Oz. And join us in discussing episodes there. We also like to post a couple of other things there that we don't talk about in the show sometimes. The most recent thing that was posted was a video of Caroline herding chickens, which I think we did talk about last episode.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So if you want to see, a chicken rodeo, it's Caroline's got that all sorted.
And our yard is still in development, so please excuse that.
Yeah, don't judge too harshly.
Don't judge my yard.
Chicken song in my head now. Oh no!
They love that song.
And so does everyone who's listening now. Lino, well done.
Hey Dom, how you going?
All right. Yeah, and so we can also be reached by email. We're gonna laugh now. We can also be reached by email at catholicsofoz@sqpn.com. Caroline, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me again.
And Lino, so good to have you back as a guest. Hopefully we can have you a bit more in the future. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, guys. Take care. God bless.
Cool. And once again, I'm Lindsay Sands, and thank you for listening to The Catholics of Oz on StarQuest.